The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meat, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork, pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meat, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
This man needs medical attention.
Holmberg's Morning Sickness.
The old method of treatment for a person in this condition was to throw him in jail.
Good morning, everybody. Hello there. Welcome to the Morning Sickness. This is the live version. Back in studio again. COVID be damned. It's
Welcome back, Johnny.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Well, everybody meaning Brett. Brady didn't say anything, jerk. Anyway, there's Brady.
You look horrible, man.
I don't feel good. That's just my face, Brady. It's nothing I can do about that. Toledo's here. Brett's here. We're all back live in the studio. Everything's back to normal, although I did have that massive personal debate when the alarm went off, thinking, I could get that extra hour's sleep and just walk right into that game room and start toying with that cruddy equipment again and do one more at home. It is tempting to sleep the extra hour. But here I sit with you morons once again, ready to go for another day. Feeling fine also. The COVID is washed up and gone. And I've, of course, heard from every...
we got a pill coming out soon.
I know. Well, you don't want to get into that, Brady. I'm sure that pill gets political.
That's kind of good news.
Oh, is it? You thought the vaccine would have been good news, but it's not, is it? It's terrible. People can't hear good news without going, goddamn Democrat and or Republican, angry on either side. What are you mad about? Everything. And you
Just
hear...
the fact that they're going, they're continuing the research on it. I'm saying it's just like...
That's great.
Yeah.
That just lends credibility that they need more research because people don't understand that things aren't cut and dry, black and white. The vaccine can get better. The pills can get better.
We're a pill nation, though.
Oh, we love them, Brady.
So.
You'll see. This is not going to be a pretty kumbaya moment when they introduce the pill. I'm sure it'll be filled with...
Here's your 90% pill.
With your dragon fire and your, I don't even need this. This is stupid. I heard from a lot of people who were very nice, majority of people logical and kind. And then I don't know how many other emails I got of news paper clippings or articles or something they found online or CNN or Fox clips talking about how the vaccine is. And CNN ran a thing about the lady from the CDC saying the vaccine is less effective against Delta than we expected, but it's still effective. So don't, oh, see, it doesn't work at all. And then people are like, I hope you're happy you got your stupid shot. I had COVID. It lasted 2 days. It's nothing, and I'm not vaccinated. I'm like, all right. What are you yelling at me for? Out of the blue, you decide to yell at a guy who just had it. I didn't tell you to do anything, but nobody knows how to behave anymore. Everybody. There's a dude that emailed Fitz or text Fitz or us, doesn't even know who he's mad at, about the Rittenhouse trial.
About talking about it.
And all I said, if it was us he was mad about, all I said was, wow, what a fascinating trial this is, because I don't know which way it's going to go. I just saw a dude take a gun to a riot, which in my head I'm like, I wouldn't do that.
End up having to use it.
And I think he's right when he was using it. It was like, but after, you got to wonder, because it's a great question to me.
Because there's people. I mean, again, the thing behind it is the point. I think people think he should be in jail just for taking the gun down there,
and that's the debate.
Yeah,
and it makes sense. Because if you can talk about people inciting riots,
and if you're a right to bear arms,
you're totally allowed to carry it.
You can do that.
Right. You're totally allowed to carry it. Yep. But and therein lies the interest I have. Yeah. I'm like, wow, yeah, I see.
There's the division.
See both sides of this very much the exact same way, and I'm fascinated by it because I'm like, how will the court see it? How will the eyes of law see it? I'm not even on a side. I don't care. I do not care if Kyle Rittenhouse fries on TV tomorrow. I have zero feelings about it. None. I mean, I couldn't if he died right now, I'd be like, okay, what do you guys want for breakfast? Yeah, I don't care. But all these people that do live their lives screaming and yelling at everybody about something they're not even really. It's going to ruin the Constitution. I'm like, no, it won't.
But you don't care if he fries or if he walks.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're tame.
I'm literally looking at this from a perspective of, wow, this is an interesting
case. I can see both
case.
sides of it.
What do you do with somebody that takes a gun to a scary thing, and then on the same page, the same people that are say that Trump, and I agree with them, is not responsible for inciting people's behavior. He can rile them up, but is he responsible for it? It's the same kind of thing. If you're going to hold one person responsible for saying something and making people crazy, then doing something and saying, I left my comfort of my own home to go down with this gun to be a vigilante. I don't know what he did. I don't know where his mind was, and that's where the court case is. Fascinated by it. Don't care if he walks. Don't care if he fries in front of everybody in the most violent way ever.
What's interesting is I did hear about the jury. I kind of laughed at the point that the jury's been deliberating.
Yeah.
And then they said, one request, could we get the rules of the –
they do that every time.
Beginning.
They do that
They
every
get
time.
it to them at the beginning, and they're like, we got to go over that
We
again.
need to have all these rules reread to us. Yeah, I'm fine with
So people,
all of
the
it.
big debate now with, they're asking legal consultants and stuff, what's the deal? If it's longer, is that favorite prosecution or the
question
defense?
of all juries is if it takes a day or two, does it mean somebody's holding out, or are they just deliberating on the punishment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. I personally think it's stupid to leave your house to walk towards a riot, with or without a gun. I think that's dumb. But he did it, and he has a right to do it. But once he got into that pickle and it got out of hand, it's crazy.
Even if John, you would probably not do it, even if they were attacking your favorite restaurant or store,
right?
And they're looting.
Of course,
I gotta go down there and get down there.
I don't love anything that much. My favorite,
like if you
neighbor,
had 4 pair of Air Jordans, they're holding there, you had to pick them up.
There's a online shop. I'll figure this out. I'll pay the extra $100 to have them delivered. I don't go anywhere. I believe
that's 98%, 99%.
Don't care.
Feel the same way.
Look, if I saw my neighbors getting slaughtered in their front yard, I'd get my gun and wait in my house to see if they're coming my direction. That's it. I'm not going to walk towards that. That's insanity. But it is an interesting. I'm not even. But this guy emails and he's like, "You shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about." And what was I saying that made you so nuts?
I think it was actually directed towards.
I think it was towards Fitz too.
I mean,
I think so too. The dude went nuts, and I'm like, you can't care this much. You cannot be on the I care this much thing. And then, of course, you tell somebody like that, don't care this much. They're like, you don't care if the goddamn country falls apart and they take away our guns. I'm like, if they do that, you've got guns. So defend your house when they try to come and take them, because it's the dumbest idea anybody could ever have to knock on my door and say, will you give me your guns? Like, I'll be right back. I'm going to shoot that guy, like dead in the face.
Will this be a landmark ruling?
It could be, or it could just be. No, it can't.
Gun ownership, or
it can't be, because they're not in that kind of control in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They're in control of Kyle Rittenhouse's future. That's about it. And then, could it be a landmark ruling later where people will debate it? Yeah, but nothing's coming of this.
And it's probably going to get, no matter what it happens, it's probably going to get appealed, and it's going to continue to go on.
Yeah, this isn't over.
No,
and it's
by a long shot.
Which is why it's fascinating. And again, I don't care. I just want, I want a good show on TV. And that's you're getting it. You tell me I'm a bad guy, but that's exactly what CNN's hoping for, and Fox, whatever side you're on. They're all hoping for good TV, and they're getting it, man. That dude pointing that gun at people was pretty great. Here's another thing we need to discuss. We all agree that our cell phones are pretty much tapped into some system we don't understand, and it knows where we are at all times. And we could that geocaching and geofencing thing, where you can walk into an event and they can advertise to you within a fence line created, a digital fence line created for that event. So if you go to the Good Guys Car Show, they know you're a car person for the most part. So within that little mile radius or whatever they decide to shrink it to, you get different ads than anybody else.
Waze is doing that now,
Waze
too.
does an amazing
be on the
thing.
freeway, and I'm all, I don't need Raising Cane's here.
You'll drive right by the Raising Cane's.
That's right, yeah.
Because they know they've got it geofenced. So with that in mind, and how technologically amazing and also horrifying that is, can we make it so I don't get an Amber Alert at 11:30 at night that screams my phone off for a guy in Tennessee? Thank you. We don't know where this dude's car was found in California. It's a Tennessee missing thing. He may or may not be an Arizona connection. So they got my alert goes off, and I know you can turn your alerts off, but they are more fun. But if I'm not within a few miles of where this is happening, let's not act like I'm getting bed and rolling over. You also know when I'm asleep. The phone knows when I'm in sleep mode, right? It has all that. So don't play this game like, well, it's some arbitrary thing that goes out to everybody. Don't. The haboobs, I'm for it. I love being in the Safeway when all the people's phones go off. It's a panic. It's hilarious. And when all the alerts start happening, when the haboobs roll in, that affects me. But for an Amber Alert, if I'm not on the road or I'm not outside my house and the phone knows, there's no reason for that alert to go off.
What about silver?
Never give me a silver alert. Ever. If Brady goes off and wanders onto traffic, it's because he's an adult and it's his time.
Well, there's the one that went off yesterday afternoon while I was getting a haircut.
Same thing.
Some guy in a 2005 gray Subaru, and I'm like, in Parker. I'm like, I haven't even never been to Parker.
Well, he wasn't in Parker because they found his car in San Clemente, California. So, yeah. If I'm not in Parker or near Parker, the does not need to go off. I'm not going to Parker. And plus, it knows when we're on the streets.
Yeah, and knows where we're at, too.
You never know, Brett. You could have rolled out of that barber shop, checking out your due, and then I'll say, hey, there's that Subaru.
There's that great Subaru rolling by.
We all do Amber Alerts the same way. We get the look. We see the billboard on the thing. We look at the cars around us, and then it leaves our mind forever and ever. If we're not right next to that Subaru, we're not doing a whole lot of sleuthing. Nobody's looking for this guy.
It's not like you don't daydream about it like buying lottery tickets or Powerball. I don't think, maybe one day I'll see that red car.
I'll get that Amber Alert.
There it is.
I actually do that. I have fantasized about like the reward and the big check but you never see that side of it. Would I get like a big payment? Because yes, where there's a payment, there's a possibility I'll be that. But I'm not looking for the guy. And if the phone knows I'm not, you can pop up the alert, but it doesn't need to be that horrific sound, that siren. At 11 o'clock, this same exact Amber Alert that went off during the day goes up. And like, that's enough. We don't need that. And I'm not turning my alerts off because I kind of like having alerts, but I don't need them for people in Tennessee or California or Parker, for Christ's sake. Yeah. Do it for people in Parker. You know, people at the Amber Alert building, wherever that is, you know where I am. Only do it to people on the streets. Nobody is out hoofing around looking for this Subaru walking. Nobody. It's all freeways. If somebody's on a freeway, let their Amber Alert go off. Otherwise, F it.
I used to hate it when I did overnights at the old building because we had that nasty EAS machine behind us that just talked like this, so you couldn't understand it. And it would go off at like 2 a.m. sometimes. It would freak me the hell out. The dude talking, and all of a sudden it's another silver Amber Alert, you know. And,
you can't understand it. Those are the best when those things.
You can't hear.
There's a classic Honda with a license plate C35 the whole school is with dead guys.
Like, what did he say?
With the technology they have to tap into our system, you think they could buy a new microphone? No. Mr. Microphone does not work anymore.
The EAS still like the sound.
You still know what it is, though.
But you don't. But you can't understand it.
By the time you're done going, this is annoying, he's already half done with the description. Amber Alerts. You find them. I'm a radio guy. Well, we want your help. Isn't that the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing? Don't help that much? Like, the whole thing is like, if you're going to help, keep it at a minimum. We don't need cops being policed by it's just a bad
I've already been weeded out, I guess.
You didn't get the alert last night? Maybe it's not for Androids. Help. Maybe you guys.
I turned mine off.
No, it's an iPhone.
Oh, you do?
I'm just looking at it.
You didn't get one? I got 2. I got 3 yesterday. One when I first woke up, one in the afternoon. It's the same one, that gray Subaru.
I turned mine off. I was just somewhere where everybody had theirs on.
The one last night that showed up out of the blue started screaming at me. Don't they realize that I'm trying to get through a Seinfeld, maybe a Family Guy, and then just drift off? Yeah, it's annoying. But I am. Like Amber Alert people, you know where we are. And we don't look. Nobody. Not a soul. Of course I say that, and then those Wikipedia guardians, I don't know what they're doing. I spent a good portion of my time at home in quarantine editing Wikipedia pages with funny stuff. Just for fun, because I found out you can do that. Like, I thought they'd ban you, like, right away. I got through a few Arizona governors and redid their death page, just for fun. Within, like, 2 minutes, Wesley Bolin, he was governor in the state for 5 months because he had a heart attack after he got the job. I edited his death page, and it was gone in 5 minutes. Some lady named Disco Spinster gets on this thing and knocks it out. She gets alerts on her phone to change it back. And so I did Evan Meekum and said he died at Astroworld, which I find
hilarious.
Hysterical. Because I want some 8th grader who's doing a report to include that. Because, he's just cutting and pasting. And now Evan Meekum, of course, he was disgraced. We lost the Super Bowl. His legend will end up being that it wasn't all wrong, that some of the things were wrong. He passed away at the Astroworld Festival when he was trampled to death at the Travis Scott show, which would have been great. Because it says he suffered from dementia and everything else, and his love of hip-hop and the urban arts after his troubles back there when he was calling people pickaninny and stuff. Turned out.
He was a big fan.
Turned out he loved hip-hop. And he died at Astroworld. I thought it was within like 2 minutes, gone. Rose Mofford ate a chocolate bunny covered in cotton candy and choked to death. Gone, like in minutes. And it was the same lady.
Disco Spinster, gotcha, huh?
So I say that nobody's out there looking for the Amber Alerts or like on high alert at all times. But these people, these Wikipedia entry editors, because my thought was, who has looked at Wesley Boland's Wikipedia page in ages? Like, that's just dust in corners of an old library that just happens to be digital. But she gets an alert.
You're talking to the kids. That's got to be research in Arizona politics.
Research it all day long. It's still a Wikipedia page that 0 people are looking at. Nobody's looking at Wesley. Nobody's doing reports on Wesley Boland. He was governor for 5 months. We have Wesley Boland Plaza.
I don't even know where that's at.
Me neither.
It's somewhere downtown.
Yeah, I think it's by the Capitol.
It is.
Okay. Is it?
Have you been in it?
Yeah, I've danced around at Wesley Boland Plaza.
What did you go there for?
Like 4th of July
barbecue.
1 year.
It was a barbecue at Wesley Boland Plaza. It was food related. I'll never forget this plaza. I've lived here since 1983. If you said you have to meet me at Wesley Boland Plaza, I'd have to look it up. I think I know.
I'd put it on the Google Apps or whatever.
And then I'd call back and go, I have to meet you at Wesley Boland Plaza. And they're like, yeah, it's imperative. I'm like, but it's in the avenues.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they'd be like, it's death. I'm like, everything in the avenues is life or death. You're in the avenues. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. But I changed it. And then this lady's like, and then she banned me for like a day. And then I'm like, oh. And then so I just changed computers, different IP address, started to do it again. And this lady's on me, man, on me. Because I'm not logging in. I'm just doing it without a login. So it's just some random thing. You can do that to Wikipedia all day. But the edit, the Evan Meekum one was one line. And then I started to think, this lady sits at home all day. I don't know if Wikipedia pays her or if she's just a big fan.
I think she just gets that alert.
But from who?
Someone.
Would you do it for free?
It just changed the line all of a sudden. Someone changed the line on this.
Oh, no. Okay. So do you know how often lines are being changed in Wikipedia that her alerts would be going off constantly?
Maybe they have it to the point where
second
it's
of
an
the
AI
day.
that's doing it now.
It's not. It's Disco Spinster. I contacted
an AI.
I contacted the lady. She's a sour woman. I found all of her social media. I found everything. She's an awful, terrible old lady who just sits and so if she's getting an alert, it's constant because Wikipedia knows when a celebrity dies before we do. If you hear, oh, blah, blah, blah died, and you go to Wikipedia, immediately it's already got the death and why and a whole story written about it.
Yeah, I wonder how it works.
I don't know, but Disco Spinster's on it.
Disco Spinster wakes up first thing in the morning, checks her. Maybe she has so many former politicians in Arizona, and they've broken it down where they have a bunch of disco.
She's in charge of Wesley Boland. And the second the alert goes off, she's on top of it.
She's got the governors.
All right. Have you ever met
how many?
All right,
so that wouldn't be that many.
So you got governors, then you got to have celebrities, then you got to have
lieutenant
locations.
Governors.
You have to have television shows. You have to have lieutenant governors, senators. You have to be for everything. My goal that day was to change as many as I could and see if Disco Spinster's responsible for all of it. Because my theory became that Wikipedia is God, and because nobody knows what it is, where it is, or how it showed up. Because I was checking, Matt, it knows everything. Yeah, it's got every single piece of information ever, and then there are guardians of the Wikipedia. And God, Wikipedia.
Would you be a guardian?
No, I don't care that much about it. I hope it's funnier. I would rather make it funnier. And my theory is if you edit one of the pages on the God page and no one changes it back, after 10 days, that becomes true. That becomes a reality. And then Evan Meekum, and it's some sort of weird portal. And so when I wrote that Evan Meekum, former governor of Arizona, died at Astroworld, if nobody caught that in 10 days, all of history changes that Evan Meekum lived up until a couple weeks ago and was trampled to death at Astroworld. And so then therein lies another 12 years of his life that has to be explained, the butterfly effect of insanity. So somebody had – otherwise, why guard Wikipedia with your life in minutes? Does it really matter if Wesley Boland's last words were too dry, baby? Does it really matter? It does in the long term. You. It just screws up 8th graders' reports. That's it, because that's the only person using Wikipedia for actual stuff. It's pretty weird. I mean, I got a bunch of information off Match Game. I know how they used to film the Match Game, because Wikipedia has everything. And I'm like, this is God. This is a digital God. It's the only thing that truly is omniscient, omnipotent, and knows all before we do. And there are guardians of the Wikipedia. I've never met one. I would like to meet one, but Disco Spinster is one. And her life seems really bad. She sits at home while her phone goes, ding, Wesley Boland's been edited. I better get on top of that and make sure it's factual. That's a miserable existence to guard the Wikipedia. It's also, though, on the flip side, her argument to me, I'm like, what, do you have nothing better to do with your time than edit Wikipedia pages? Yeah. She goes, do you have nothing better to do with your time than change them? I'm like, touche.
Did you say that?
No, she said that. She's like, I have touche, Disco Spinster. You're right. But I have, and then I said, I have COVID. I've got nothing to do. I figured I'd start messing and altering history.
At least you wanted to hear maybe some feedback. By the way, that was funny. No, but I got to change it back.
Hilarious to think of Evan Meekum getting trampled at Astroworld. That's a riot. I can't have it. I can't have it on the page. There are full pages on Wikipedia of made-up places. So in my head, I'm like, that would be really cool that you make up a place and then there's no editor of that. And then 10 days later, it becomes a real place. Like, my science fiction theory on Wikipedia is pretty solid. But again, going back to the Amber Alert, I don't know who these guardians are, but they must be the same people that care that much about Amber Alerts that they can get them in their own homes. If my phone knows I'm in my house, and it does, it can go ahead and turn off the I'm looking for kids thing, because I'm not.
What is the qualifications to have a Wikipedia page?
What do you mean?
Like for... Toledo is saying, "Oh, we have one."
I think anybody can have one. They just create it for you, or you create your own.
You can make your own and just plop it on there. But I don't know who takes care of it, and I don't know how. Like Chuck Cunningham from Happy Days the other day. You mentioned that,
right?
I looked at. Well, first of all, the guy who played Chuck, I don't know who it was, but the first guy that did it, the one that actually O'Hurley or whatever, had already had his death edited and a thing about when he died. And then you check the time because there's an edit stamp on it. It was within like a minute of him dying. It was like it knew, like the minute it got announced, it was on Wikipedia.
I got a good idea for you.
Incredible. Okay.
Reach out to Disco Spinster
again and
say, "Will you monitor my Wikipedia page?"
I don't think I
have
one
more. Well, we'll create one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think radio people are some reason we've always been like they weren't going to give us one, and I don't know why that is. And then they relaxed it for a while. And then they got really strict.
That's what I'm saying. Who? The regulation.
God. Wikipedia is a god. It's the first time I've ever believed in something supernatural, and it turns out to be a digital beast, which proves that we're in a simulation because it can show itself much easier. Nobody knows where Wikipedia is, who works there, who's like the CEO of it. They ask for money every once in a while, like church. Who's giving money to Wikipedia? Who?
I didn't know they even asked for money.
Yeah, they ask for donations. Yeah,
constantly, because it's the only way it stays alive. There's no ads on it. I don't know how it works.
The rubber chicken John Holmberg's on here.
Oh, the good one. Yeah, the blackface rubber chicken me. Yeah, he's on there and I'm not. And that's proof it's God. Who else would remember that dude invented the blackface and the rubber chicken? Swedish blackface comedian. Invented the rubber chicken, and he happens to be named John Holmberg. Got to be related somehow. All right, let's get a wake-up song, shall we? And if you're out there on the streets right now, you can look for that kid and stuff. But otherwise, you're not looking. You're just going through your time. You got enough on your plate. Don't worry about it. We're not going to put you in charge of finding kids, for Christ's sake. It's 6:09. Give us a wake-up song, 585-9800. A good one. We'll scream it together. It's 98 KUPD. Wake up!
You guys partake?
I'll partake.
98.
Hit me.
98 KUPD.
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.